The United States Army put its own soldiers in a trench and set off an atomic bomb a few thousand yards away. The countdown is running. Then it ordered them to stand up and walk toward it. These are real men. What it did to their bodies stayed classified for 40 years. 1951. The atomic age is 6 years old. The bomb has been something dropped from a plane, far away. Now the Army wants to know what it does to the men beneath it. So it builds a place to train them for it, in the Nevada desert, beside the nation's nuclear test site. The exercises are called Desert Rock. The stated goal is not secret. It is written down. To take away a soldier's fear of the bomb. The camp opens in the autumn of 1951. They live at Camp Desert Rock, near Mercury, about 27 miles from Ground Zero. They are shown films. They are given lectures. Then they are marched to the trenches. This is not a handful of men. Across the years of atmospheric testing, hundreds of thousands of American servicemen passed through it, by some counts, more than 400,000. It is not an episode. It is a system. The first time is the 1st of November, 1951. Shot dog. About 880 men dig in, watch the blast, and then walk toward Ground Zero, to within about 500 yards of it. That is the template. The method is always the same. Trenches. Helmets. The men crouch down, faces to their knees, hands over their eyes. The countdown reaches 0. The flash comes first, a light brighter than the sun. Then the shock wave rolls over the trench, and the desert rains back down on them. Then the order comes. Advance. The men climb out of the trench, and walk toward the mushroom cloud. On the plumb bob maneuvers, the march brings them to within about 900 yards of Ground Zero. On the earliest shots, closer. At the center, they inspect the wreckage, scorched tanks, ruined trucks, to see whether men could still fight here. That was the point. The soldier was the instrument. By 1957, the exercises reached their peak. Operation Plumb Bob. From May to October, it is the largest troop maneuver in the history of American nuclear testing. One shot in that series has a name that would outlast all the others. Smoky. The 31st of August, 1957. 5:30 in the morning. A bomb on a tower nearly 700 feet tall. 44 kilotons. The tower is gone in an instant. The men are watching from the dark, and the light throws their shadows out behind them. About 3,000 servicemen are in the Smoky test area. The maneuver itself, an attack and resupply exercise, put about 1,100 soldiers on the ground, with a couple hundred more on scientific projects. Not in the trenches at the edge of the crater, the Smoky maneuver watched from farther back. But those 3,000 men are the ones history would come to count. 1976. Nearly 20 years later. A veteran who had stood at Smoky develops leukemia, and asks a simple question: could the test have done this? He writes to the federal disease investigators, and they begin to look. What they find, in 1980, is this. Among the men who were at Smoky, there are 9 cases of leukemia, where fewer than 4 would be expected. A statistically significant excess, far more than expected. A later follow-up counted 10 cases among them, and 8 deaths. The official numbers said the doses were small, an average of well under 1 rem. But not every man wore a badge to measure it. And the readings that did exist were later called unreliable. There is a harder truth in the data, too. The leukemia did not rise with the dose. The cause is still argued. The excess is real. But for decades, these men could not talk about it. They had signed secrecy oaths. To describe their service, to a reporter, to a doctor, even to their own family, could bring a fine of up to $10,000. So a second clock starts. This one runs in years. A veteran walks into a veterans hospital, sick, and cannot tell the doctor where he was exposed. Claims are denied. Care is refused. What he cannot say, he cannot prove. Their own association of atomic veterans spends years pressing for the truth to be let out. The second clock keeps ticking. 1976. 1980. 1990. And the men grow old, and some of them die, still holding a secret they never chose to keep. When it comes late. In 1990, Congress offers $75,000 to the men who were there on the ground. It is called the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. In 1995, a presidential committee finishes taking apart the record of the experiments done on human beings. And in 1996, Congress lifts the secrecy oath. The atomic soldiers are finally allowed to say where they had been. The second clock stops. 40 years after the flash. By then, many of them are gone. This is one of the men who stood in the desert and watched. He was ordered to look at it. And then to walk toward it. He was told never to say what it did to him.